You're going to watch next week another day. Do you still kind of hold your breath when he tries to talk? I'm just kind of willing him to say something. Ben, you want to turn my back on? I need my lights. On your desk, on your tables, it says, what's the hardest thing you've ever had to do? Has anybody got an answer? Anybody got any thoughts? Yes, dear.
Handle the tarantula and the height thing with Remy.
Yeah, so you've got a fear of heights, but you kind of, with a bit of help from some children, you've faced it and you did it. Anybody else?
Asking doctors to take the machine off your mother.
Yeah. Tough, really tough. Anybody else? Speaking here. You were brilliant. For me, it was, I was thinking things about maybe taking a driving test or your exams at school, maybe facing a health issue. Diane's just going to mention that. Learning to ride a bike or teaching your kids to ride a bike.
Learning to read.
Learning to read, yeah, that's a great one, Joe, thank you. And it's not something that happens overnight, it's something you have to work at. And that's something we've just seen there, that the film gives you a bit of a false image in a way, because obviously you can't make a film that lasts 14 years because nobody would watch it. But obviously this story goes on over a number of years, and it's shortened, so it's an interesting movie. Apparently, there's a clip that has been taken out that makes it look like it was a lot easier than we know, because they've actually filmed it so that almost after this clip, I mean, what you haven't seen is that they then eventually play the record back, and he can hear himself talking perfectly, and therefore the film made it look like, oh, he's okay then, and then but they decided to cut that out because they wanted to recognise it was a hard thing that he had to persevere with for a long time. For me, the thing, I kind of thought through and thought, I can't really think of anything that I've struggled with, but as a child, I had major ear, nose and throat problems, and therefore couldn't go swimming and do things that all my mates were doing. And I realised that as primary school was coming to an end, I was going to go to a secondary school where they went swimming all the time. And I thought, I'm either going to be, the melon sitting on the side of the pool watching everybody, or I needed to do something about it. And so the medical people had given me permission to go and try, but obviously all the swimming lessons at school had happened. Everybody else could swim. And so it was over one summer, I took myself off to Livingston Baths on Foswell Road, they're not there anymore. And basically with my mate, remember Chris, who I talked about a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
Me and Chris over the summer went swimming every week. And I just kind of sank most of the time. But over the summer, taught myself to swim. Because I knew when it was going to get to secondary school, I was going to be a laughing stock if I couldn't do the same as everybody else. Because of that, I've had a fear of deep water, open water, really ever since. But I know by persevering at that time, I mean, it's better now. I mean, we went to New Zealand a few years ago, and there was an opportunity to go and look at dolphins in the wild, which was amazing. I'm on the boat and there's a dolphin there and it's looking at me, I'm looking at him. He said, right, anybody want to jump in and swim with the dolphins? Ondi jumped in and then realised how cold the water was and kind of jumped back out again, but I couldn't face the fear of getting in the water. So there's still a fear there, but I'm a lot closer than I was all those years ago. So perseverance is something that's real and something we have to face all the time. So I just wondered what has caused you to struggle. You shared some things just then, but is it a physical struggle? Or maybe it's a mental hurdle we've had to overcome? Is it a lack of belief in yourself? Or maybe even negative words that's been said to you? Oh, you're not good enough to do that. You're not clever enough to do that. And the question, I suppose, is, did you persevere? Are you persevering? Or are you still struggling? Does anybody know the name Billy Monger? Yeah? So Billy was born in 1999 and was a British racing car driver who had an awful accident. He's riding for British Formula 4 around 2016, 2017. He was only 17 years old, and he had a most horrific accident where he ended up losing both of his legs at 17. I've seen the clip of when it happens, and there's absolutely nothing he could have done. I can't imagine being 17 and your whole life changing like that. But the amazing thing with Billy is that was almost the start rather than the finish. He actually got back in a car within 6 months using prosthetics. And since then has become a commentator on like the Paralympics and things like that, and just a general TV personality. He's a really nice guy. That injury could have finished him. But if you watch clips of him when he's in rehab, it's almost like nobody told him you can't. At 17, you don't think anything's impossible. He thinks you can do anything. And his rehab is fascinating because you just see him getting on with it. Like it's just the next step to what you've got to do. In 2018, he won BBC Sports Personality of the Year, the Helen Rollison Award, which is for outstanding achievement in your field in the face of adversity. And I can't think of anybody kind of more suitable to win that award. Last night, you may have seen it on the TV. If you've not, yeah, there's an opportunity to watch it on iPlayer. He's just faced the most... during his life, obviously, he's only 20-something now, he's faced lots and lots and lots. But he's just recently, I'm going to see a clip in a minute, he's attempted to complete an Ironman challenge for Comic Relief. That's 2.4 miles swim in open water, a 112-mile bike ride, followed by a 26.2-mile run to a marathon. You do it all back to back for a total of 140.6 miles. And what did he want to do? He wanted to do it to raise money for Comic Relief, but he wanted to beat the world record. And so Ruma's going to show us a clip there.
Am I the right person to do this challenge? Am I capable of doing this? The Ironman World Championships in Kona, Hawaii.
One of the biggest, greatest endurance events on the planet.
He's aiming at the world record for a double leg amputee, which, wow, that's going to be hard.
How are you feeling? Right.
Are you training every day then?
Yeah.
It's a massive inspiration, so don't get up.
You can see on his face that he's nervous.
It's been a hell of a journey. Hell of a journey.
He is an incredible human being. I'm sorry.
I've never run a marathon. There's unknowns still at this point.
I always think that he can't make me any prouder, but yet again he does.
Billy thrives on helping other people, so he knows that the money that gets raised through Comic Relief will help a lot of people.
People that need to be the best version of themselves and to flourish.
You will have dark moments.
If you get into that dark place, you need to talk yourself out of it.
There's a lot of work to do to try and prove that I can be an Ironman.
Anything is possible. Billy is the epitome of that.
He commits to this project, I think, the way he commits to life. Like nothing is going to stop him.
We'll pick you up on the way to Kona.
It's Kona, please.
No way. Very good.
So if you get a chance, watch the thing that was on last night. It's not just the learning to swim, learning to ride a bike, learning to do the marathon. It's learning how to do that in prosthetics. And the fact that for each part of it, those prosthetics either didn't exist, so for swimming you can't use prosthetics, you just need to get on with it. For the bike, you've got to have different legs than you have for the run. And watching him face that, I mean, I'd never considered, I mean, you've done a triathlon, haven't you?
Yeah.
Did you use a bike where you clicked your feet?
Yes.
So you catch your feet in the pedals so you can go faster, and he'd got to try and do that with no feet. So they built him special legs where one of his amputation is below the knee and one's above the knee. So each one has to be different. And they said, right, before we even start thinking about doing this, you've got to see if you can actually get on the bike. And then you see him struggle with getting on the bike. You see him struggle trying to clip his feet in. And then it's all right, well, let's go then. And the first thing he does is fall over. because he can't get his feet out again quick enough. That's quite a
It's hard.
technique, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so this guy's got everything possible, every hurdle in front of him. But then with about 10 minutes, you see him cycling absolutely fine. They've learned the technique, how he can get his feet out early in order to get out off the bike. And then all the way through, it's effort. And when he said, I've never run a marathon before, that was on the day of the Ironman. The furthest he'd run was just over a half marathon, and that nearly killed him. All his stumps were sore and really hurt him. And he said, I just don't know if I'm going to do it. And, you know, he does. He did it, he won. He not only did he do it in, I think it was 14 and a half hours, non-stop, but he broke the world record by 2 hours. So he is amazing. So watch it if you can. Because people like that understand perseverance. It's not a word that's alien to them. It's just something they do. Many sports people say it's not how you fall, it's how you get up again that matters. And that's what life's like, isn't it? For all of us. All of us have things that we don't expect to happen. We have dreams ruined, with something can happen where our life is changed in an instant. But it's just how you get back up. In the end of the documentary, he's talked about his dad a lot, because his dad was obviously his pit crew, his mechanic, everything when he was a young driver. But then when the accident happened and all that changed, his relationship with his dad faded a bit. They didn't spend as much time together. But then just a couple of years ago, his dad had a major car crash. So now Billy was looking after Dad. And he said that one of the things he wanted to do was obviously do this, raise lots of money, break the world record. He said, my hope is I can get back doing stuff with my dad. And if you watch it, you'll see the final clip with his dad. And it's a beautiful moment. Everything's about perseverance and getting on. And how does this fit with the Bible? We all have stuff to face. The Bible talks a lot about persevering, striving on, keep going. And the reason I'm here is because when I applied for the job here, I'm a nurse, will remember this. When I applied for the job here, I sent off for the details, the job description, personal spec, the salary and everything. And Rita, who was in charge of that at the time, sent me all back, just didn't send me anything about a salary.
No.
And I thought, they can't expect me to do it for nothing. So I emailed back and said, please, I think you might have forgotten this bit. And while I was waiting for a reply, I read through the job description and was like, yep, that's Darren, this is my job, I can definitely do this. And I waited a couple of days, and then the email came back about the salary. And the salary was going to be 20% less than I was on already. No company car, no benefits and all that. I thought, that's it, I can't do it. And I just didn't know how to keep going. I'd kind of just come to a halt. Like when Billy fell off the bike. He's like, how do I move forward? And that night, Andy got all upset as well. You're right. We were sitting in bed. This was when we were younger, and you could still do a Bible reading before bed. Now we just look at the title and fall asleep. We were trying to do Bible reading and praying, and Andy was again getting kind of frustrated that all this hadn't worked out in the way we'd planned it. And she physically threw a Bible at me and said, find something encouraging. And before I didn't even open the Bible, I just said, what does it say in Philippians 3:14? Because I didn't know. And she looked it up and she said, it says, strive on towards the goal for which I have set you. In other words, shut up and get on with it. Stop moaning and do what I tell you. It's like, shut up, trust me, keep going and don't give up. It was perseverance. And so I applied for the job, and by some godly miracle I'm here. And I can remember Ursula saying to me, we can't pay you more, but one day we'll get back to what you were being paid before. And it took a couple of years, didn't it? But it did, it happened. And it was that idea of keeping going and trusting God. And throughout the Bible it tells us just to trust Him, to persevere. That if the things we're going through, God never promised we won't go through stuff. He does promise, however, that He'll be with us. And he will walk alongside us. He'll carry us when we need carrying, if we trust in Him. Throughout the Bible, Hebrews 12 and many other places tells us, just trust in me. And that what we learn as we move forward through these trials is perseverance. And the perseverance will eventually bring us faith and bring us joy if we trust in him. And I just wondered whether whatever you're facing today, somebody texted me yesterday and said, I'm really struggling, I want to tell somebody this, but they're gone now. And I said, tell them anyway. Because whether they can hear or not, we don't really know. But it will help them just to talk it through, to start thinking in a bigger way that actually there is something beyond today. And so if you persevere, things can get better. Things you're facing now, problems you're facing now, challenges you're facing now, they can get better, especially if you put your faith in Jesus and tell him what is going on. You know, that thing about prayer. Prayer is just a conversation with Jesus. And we're called to pray to God, pray to Jesus.
I know what I could do, if I could, I would.
What?
I'd swallow up death.
Yeah.
Get rid of death spiritually and physically. So never
that.
no more to be.
I like that.
Always on forever, man.
I like that, Jeff. Thank you very much. Right, we're going to have a second clip. This clip is where I was at the beginning. The first clip was where Bertie and the guy, can't remember his name, whatever. Lionel. I've got all my L's mixed. I was thinking Logan. That's the surname. Lionel Lowe. Where they first come together and kind of start working with each other. And Lionel is trying to create that relationship, that friendship. That's why the whole Bertie thing. I want to be your friend. I want you to trust me. I want you to be able to walk with me, and I'll help you to persevere. What you didn't see in the clip is that at some point when you listen back to that record, it's perfect. Because all the distractions and worries of the world have gone away behind the music. And now we're going to see another clip now. This is where, towards the end of their journey, and towards where there's going to be some changes, and he will eventually become king.